Okay, Islam, she Dwayne Bay, Islam. My Arrington-Bey, your wife. And what I did was I went ahead and put on eyeliner and lip gloss and I moved to the other room. When I tried to look at the camera after I paused, it's June the 10th, still 2025. Um, the lighting, everything was off. And I was like, why is it looking that way? So um, now I'm in the other room where we rest. These are our plants, if you can see. That's the balcony, and if you see, we have our plants on the balcony. This is going to be on our balcony. A lot of people have like um, chairs, table, but on our balcony we're going to have plants. So anyway, and as you can see, my hair color looks different than it did back there. So. Um, Some of it might have some truth to it, like there. But nonetheless, anyway, my hair is brown, um, brownish red. And see, this looks black. If you, without the camera, if you was to be here, you would see my hair is brownish, reddish. And so, and this looks even more emphasized. So, nonetheless, it's humanoid AI controlling the um, manipulating the lighting. It is. I hear the frequency, and it sounds like a black Negro female accent. Which these entities, these experiments, they have a spirit. They have a very demonic spirit in Spanish speaking. And there's others. There's also pale skin humanoid AI, but they have a very unclean demonic spirit. And I'm going to talk about that too. And this is going to be part two. And then I checked the time. It's about 9:10 a.m. So the first video I must have started around 8 a.m. because it was almost an hour long. So I'm in the other room where we rested, and the lighting was different. So, and nonetheless, I was talking about Japan, left off there, and I talked about how the Melungeon Moors in North Carolina, how I was able to, even after years of not being in North Carolina, when I moved back there in 2013, and I was in a totally different a totally different area than I grew up around in North Carolina. I was in Warrenton. I saw some Melungeon Moors, and I knew I did. I mean, I knew that they weren't white, and I knew when I saw someone that was white because it's a frequency and a tone in their skin, and because this is because they're in my family, so I knew. So hold on. And it's so that once again is correlating to Louisiana with the mulattoes in Louisiana that speaks a broken French and African dialect. Oops, hold on. This is ice. So I put on a little lip gloss and eyeliner to I experienced a thought. I said, you know what, I'm gonna use that thought. Put on a little lip gloss and eyeliner. Because the lighting is just not displaying the truth. I looked even more like dark rings around my eye again. And I just looked really, the lighting wasn't good. I don't know how it's going to be when I sent it to you. So anyway, also I ended the video with saying that um, the Melungeon Moors verbally, with old Moors, the elderly, old our elders, and 200, 300 years ago, yes, definitely know or have comprehension that mixing light skin skin with light skin was done, or passing, so that many that was in the status of African American not being that status, passing to be white, so that they can navigate through employment, higher positions easier, where the doors were shut on a darker complective more. And or at the time, definitely status of African American Black Negro. And if you were more passing, or they thought you were white, you were going to be able to navigate in a society of more prestige, and build without anyone knowing that you have African, that you have um, more blood, Moorish blood in you, blood of Moors in you. So yes, I definitely can comprehend that truth, but also I comprehend the truth that that there was experiments going on just like now. It's not a mistake that I come to Annapolis, and I didn't know about the experiments of and the reason why I say this is because um, I didn't know about the experiments of blacks. Um, and pale skin that from South Central America and Mexico. I didn't know. I had no idea. And when I came here, before I came here, I had no idea. I had a thought coming from New York, but I didn't know for sure, because I did see some odd behavior, but I didn't know. And I heard things, but I didn't know. Not until I came to Annapolis. And so because of that, it is not far fetched, and I comprehend that some of the lighter skinned Moors, the Melungeons, like that's in my family, also through the past time knew, and they saw that there was a breed, just like a new form of the Japanese have been created, a new form of the Chinese have been created. They knew that they were breeding a new form of blacks on this landmass, and that they were different in behavior, frequency, and thoughts, and they were not the more calm blacks, or the ones that you would have in a family where there's no rape, molestation, um, violence, a lot of violence. I think they knew. I think through time, verbally, that it was lost communication about the breeding. But I think this is where the connection comes from with old when know thy neighbor, and the neighborhoods knew who that person was down the street, their family line. They say, "What is your name? What's your last name?" When I was in North Carolina as a child, all as a child, I would be my grandma, or because we ran free back then. We'll run down the dirt, not dirt road. Well, it was unpaved, but we would definitely be me and some other children, my cousins. We will be all over the place. Anyway, if we came across some adults, they'd be like, "Now, whose child is that? What's your last name?" Is That's Isabel. Isabel. Isabel right there. That's Matt's daughter. Matt. That's Matt's daughter. No, that's little Renee. Oh, come here. How's your daddy? That's Matt. Hey. Boo, come on here. This is Matt's daughter. Come. And I'd be like this. Where y'all youngins going? Because we'll be everywhere. All we had to do is say our name, say the name of our parent and our grandparents, and the connection will go from there. If they didn't know, I think they would have been like, "Wait a minute, who are you?" You know, all we had, I mean, that's all you had to do is say your last name or say your name of who are you connected to. It's not like that anymore. And they knew. So I think some of the reasons or verbally why that was done, because I think they knew also that there were experiments going on, and they had to have names to these experiments. So if you knew the name of that connection to the blacks that were being created, then you knew why you would not allow your daughter, your son, to lay down and marry or be involved with them. Islam, you knew. This is the spiritual connection I have, why I was um, why I'm able to see and speak truth about what we are among here in Annapolis. This is why when I came here to Annapolis, one of the first experience I experienced were black Negroes that were able to use the science of telepathy, males, and invade the dreams to rape or attack the genitals because it's in the line. They were bred and created to do these things, to be violent, male and female. This is why the black Negro in Annapolis, not all here in Annapolis, why the female accent keeps saying "I love your son" like an animal, because it was created and bred to be violent and be such as such. And it's not a coincidence that the connection to the unnaturalized United States Army with them and Navy and so forth is there. Because if you are already creating a species of weapons, violent, that people don't know are that's really created for a breeding process, just like some of the conscious African Americans that studied history spoke of one of the reasons why this country, the military here, was the only one that used the A-bomb and sent it to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, Japan, is to get rid of the dark melon seed that existed there. Some of a spiritual energy. They sent that bomb there and blew it up. Now their reason, they said, was to get rid of that energy, those people, and they destroyed that area and as much as they could. To now we have a new form of Japanese that we may see is to so I don't think it's a coincidence that we see a different form of Japanese than we would have saw before the A bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I'm not saying that the ones that look totally different than the 1800s, 1700s, 1600, 1500 Japanese are bad or evil. I'm just saying they look different, and it's not a coincidence. But what I see now is beyond the thought of pigmentation. I With the breeding experiments um, that have taken place globally, is beyond the pigmentation. That is a program. That was it's yes, definitely could be seen as truth, because obviously it has been a deliberate procedure to lighten the skin, to display the elimination of that deep dark melon. That didn't, but obviously it backfired, because look at me, Sheik Dwayne Bafube. I'm brown skinned, and there's others like me around. Some even pale skinned with melon. They might consider them non-Moors, but they dark. There's the spirit in them. There's a melon in them that they have in them, and they have been favored with. Or others are the Melungeon Moors. The Melungeon Moors, the ones that are in my family. You look at them and say that they can pass, but you don't know what's in them. Look at me, Sheik Dwayne Bafube. Look at me. Look at my skin, but you don't know what's in me. But you do. But I'm saying average. You have and you might not know everything. You don't know everything about me. I'm learning me. Allah is great. His spirits of wind, fire, water, and earth. So it's so it's just so getting back to Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So when the entities um, that were murderers sent the bombs over there to Japan, and if the thought of what the conscious African Americans here in the Egypt to the west, that's what Abraham Lincoln called this landmass, the Egypt of the West. Egypt, the thought is true about them trying to destroy and kill the deep melon, that spiritual energy, that frequency in Japan. That they thought that was their goal, and create a whole new Japanese without that energy, without those morals, that integrity, the honor, that energy, that the samurai, the honor, that frequency. If that was their agenda and intentions, and possibly and and through that act, the spirits that they were trying to kill just maneuvered and swayed and went through the realms, and navigated and came to the Egypt of the West, and entered into the beings here. And we continue. I'm just saying, and continued. Excuse me. And we continue. So that could be a possibility, right? So yes, there was definitely, because of the physical proof of the act to destroy the visual aspect of melon, that black dark melon. Because you look with us not remembering the secrets of our eyes, and how visualization is a science and very powerful. You see someone and you think that is what you see. She has locks like me, she must be like me. Not knowing that it is not about what you see on the physical. The spirits and the frequency is internal. So this is what connects me to the thought that yes, there were probably definitely um Moors that were so light, because I have them in my family that can pass to be white, and they use that outer, that visual, that thought, that psychology, that program to navigate without, because they knew that no one would think they would know they had the Moors of blood in them. Yes, but or also in the spirits of truth, it is about breeding a species that can be just as dark as night from Africa. They can be from Senegal. They could be from the Ivory Coast. Some of the places, Sudan, that's have really dark melanated. So I would say definitely Senegal, the Ivory, the Sudan, and any place that, or here, islands that, but South, uh, South Carolina, North Carolina. These were some of the states that had very dark complective um, 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 African Americans under that status. So what I'm trying to say is, when you see someone and you see how dark they are, without knowing within you, the first thing that unclean spirit, if it's unclean, know the trickery, and so they will start to possibly see what program that you might have or you following into. Because if many who don't study spirit, and because of that teaching of knowing truth about spirituality, and the different sciences of force breeding being a war tactic, just like verbally knowing that um, Melungeon Moors that were that were skeptical about mixing with darker complexion Moors did not. This definitely could be another truth to that. Um, that knowledge was uh, not spoke of the breeding of a species of unclean. So that which knows that it is a different species knows um, that which they come in contact with don't know. So um, the breeding, so that which is a different species and unclean in spirit, very unclean and demonic, can easily play off the ignorance and the naiveness of that that connects through the physical, on the physical plane, because the teachings and of the science spiritual of spirit spiritually and frequency has been removed. There's a frequency which with all beings, with all species, lab freak or not. I mean, lab freak or not lab freak. There's a frequency. Just like there's a frequency with the Melungeon Moors. That I knew when I saw one. I knew that she was a Melungeon Moor. He was a Melungeon Moor and wasn't white. Same with that from Louisiana. There's a frequency with the melon in Louisiana with the mulatto, the Cajun. I are those that spoke French, a broken French and African dialect, um, which some connected with the migration or the immigration of Haitians to Louisiana. So what I'm trying to say is, Sheik Dwayne Bathil Bay, is that um, this is some of my connections of truth about what I am among here in Annapolis and why I'm able to speak truth about what I'm among. You know, it's not a coincidence or mistake that when I came here, the black Negro filth first first they it's like they could not restrain themselves from trying to rape while I'm sleeping. I had to train myself to sleep light. Train myself literally to sleep light, to keep the black Negro filth that has the science of telepathy, and 9 times out of 10 either in or connected to the unnaturalized army, navy, and the police or whatever military branch, somehow, from rape or molestation of the genitals. And it's not a coincidence that or mistake that when I came here in 2016, a few months, not even, I think I was here for a month when I had my first experience or less. I woke up, it's like quickly, and then as soon as I moved into the hotels, like the abomination lab freaks, they couldn't wait. The same experiments that I'm telling you is not far fetched or unbelievable to think that it wasn't going on in the early 1800s, mid 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, and the Melungeon Moors in North Carolina and other places knew, but through time forgot how to communicate or lost. Not everyone was able to pass that knowledge down. And that's the connection to knowing, saying the last name, or knowing the elders knowing you just by saying your name and your last name. Whether it was a slave name, it's a slave name or not. They knew what type, what if it was a plantation name, they knew what type of experiments, what went on that plantation. And it's not a coincidence or a mistake that the unnaturalized military is in connection to what we, Imani and I, are experiencing here. Hold on. Which are privy to sciences, breeding, forced breeding, gene manipulation, DNA manipulation, the telepathic code, and so forth. And it's not a coincidence that the United States has been held responsible for sending um, the A bomb to Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Japan, and now it's saying the thought is it was a mistake. I mean, it was a mistake for them to do it. The United States being at that time the only one on the globe that chose to take it to that extreme, to use the A bomb to kill and destroy that energy that was there in Japan. but it didn't destroy it. You can't destroy energy. So so I started to document how after my dreams were being manipulated, Sheik Dwayne Bafube here in Annapolis, with the black Negroes. First, it was definitely black Negro, and then that which speaks Spanish. But they were all connected because even when I think back, that which speaks Spanish from Mexico, South Central America, was like watching, always watching. But it was being clever because they were all connected. The unclean, demonic filth, filthy spirits. They all connected. They're collaborating together. They were watching, always watching, and trying to see how to maneuver to gain control and separate and implement bondage. So finish that thought. So after I started to document how I would be out. I mean, once again, I was like surprised. First of all, I didn't know that the military was prevalent here. I had no idea that the military, the Navy, the Army was prevalent here. Um, and I would not have thought anything. I said this so many times. If I didn't know, I would have still came because as Moors, with the teaching, the teaching of Moors, the United States Navy and Army, that's naturalized, supposed to be protectorants of um of the inhabitants here, Egypt of the West, while we reclaim our actual freedom. What is actual freedom? Freedom of the mind, the spirit, the body. They supposed to be protectorants. They're not supposed to be terrorists, rapists, Satanists, cannibals. So the naturalized military who have affirmed or have taken an oath are supposed to be protectorants. And they supposed to be naturalized in the United States Navy and Army, etc. The police, not unnaturalized. That means they can't. That means lawfully, they're not in the constitutional fold, and they have not lawfully taken an oath or affirmed to uphold laws of freedom and to be protectorants. So if you lawfully have not done that, then first of all, why would you not have done it? Secondly, then that's how you can be, that they can be used as weapons. They can be satanic worshipers. They can be cannibals. They can be terrorists upon the inhabitants on this landmass, Egypt of the West. Egypt of the West. So instead of a military male who is for this is what I've experienced here, built like you would see muscle men on TV, behaving with honor and dignity and having energy of protector. You see one is like, what is it? Is it going to use the telepathic code to force engage after you just being kind and nice and just like, hi, okay, thank you, and then they keep coming back to wherever you um employed just to force engage more, to just engage more to ease their way in a conversation so they can use the science, the telepathic code to stalk the room or apartment or your house to eventually rape. using the telepathic code, invade the dreams, and then say, that's us. Not everyone that says this, but say, have a good one. Not everyone that say that, but too many. That's demonstrate. Have a good one. Have a good one. So that's how witchcraft can be done in the open when that which supposed to have affirmed or taken an oath to uphold laws of freedom, males and females, how they cannot be embarrassed or ashamed to be doing witchcraft to rape and force breed, because they have no honor, they have no dignity, their integrity is little. It is a created violent species. They will not feel ashamed, where that which have taken an oath or affirmed to uphold laws of freedom will possibly have a higher thought process where they would feel ashamed. But if you're dealing with a created violent species of lab experiments that are not in the constitutional fold, and if they have said, well, we did do, we said this, well, the Constitution that they repeated is not the real Constitution. If it's not the true Constitution, it's a fake, it's a fraud, a fraud, just like they are. Then it doesn't. They still have no frequency of honor. They don't feel like they have an obligation to uphold anything. They will do and behave as the weapon they was created to do and behave to be. Excuse me, to be. They have no honor like the samurai. They have no dignity like the samurai in Japan. They have no integrity like the samurai in Japan. They are not brave. They are not brave like the samurai in Japan. They have no courage like the samurai in Japan. They have an energy to rape, molest, and destroy that which they find weaker than they are physically, or if they see strength mentally, to try to use the science that should be used to uphold humanity and free the inhabitants. They use it to put in bondage. And then, because they have no integrity,